How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rock, and welcome back to another edition of Quarter Up.
Quarter up.
It sounds like something you say when you're like at a bar, like, "Hey, it's quarter up." I mean, like it's like another shot.
Fuck is that sound, dude? That's so weird.
I slapped my desk, and so the coils on my arm for my microphone just started shaking.
Gotcha.
So, pro tip: if you're having any kind of a live show and or podcast, don't slam your desk with your hand. Never do that.
Which is hard in this show because we get mad at each other a bunch.
We get passionate.
We get mad at each other a bunch. Well, okay, Indigo gets mad at me. I get sad at Indigo, and then you get mad at both of us.
And then we all get mad at each other.
Generally how that works, yeah. So this is Quarter Up, a gaming news and debate show, which is a wonderful, wonderful addition to the QueueTimes lineup of shows. You can watch us here every week live on Twitch at 3 p.m. PST, and we have a podcast, and we put our videos up on the YouTubes. It's really good times. Unfortunately, this week, our third buddy Indigo is not here with us, and so to replace him, we have a cat that has a mouthful of something. I don't know what it is.
And like all cats, they're assholes and refuse to talk, so just be Croog and I this week.
Right? Yeah. I'm hoping it's not semen. But knowing Indigo.
What?
It might be semen.
What do you do with your cats?
Hey, Doc, how was your week?
I mean, normally I don't care about PETA, but maybe I'm on their side in this specific case. No, my week has been crazy. I've been playing a lot of Atlas Reactor because I really enjoy it, and I've been doing a bunch of freelancer breakdown videos on our YouTube page.
Yep, new one coming up on Monday.
Yep, I have a convention coming up in about 2 to 3 weeks, so I'm gearing that out in Sacramento, California.
Nice.
I'm also starting up a project that I don't know if I should say quite yet, just for my own sanity's sake. Right. So I've been knee deep in research, and I've been really, really enjoying it. Yes. So that's been most of my week this week, man. How's yours, man?
A fun little art project you're taking on. Hopefully, I want to see it come to fruition. So every week I'm gonna give a little bit more detail, whether you want me or not, just to push you along.
Okay, so how about this? What is it this week that we learned?
It's an art project. I've been talking to you.
It's an art project, yeah.
That's what it is. So next week you'll learn a little bit more about Doc's secret project. My week has been really fucking just horrible. I got a new job. The job is great. I'm not knocking.
Congratulations, by the way.
I just completely forgot how to balance my personal life and my work life because I've been not working and living off of saved money for like a couple of months, and taking a couple of month vacation, you forget a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so, I've been doing it for as long as you have, and I might be getting a job soon, and I'm sitting here going like, I don't.
Yeah, you don't know how to behave, kind of. So I've been basically going to work, coming home. I work for basically 12-hour days because I just am trying to. It's a 6-month contract job, so I'm trying to like make a good impression. Anyways, going to work,
make the most of it.
Doing work, coming back home, doing QueueTime stuff, and going to bed. That's my entire life for the past week.
It's like we're functioning like real adults.
Yeah, I know, right? I've played maybe 1 or 2 rounds of Battleborn because it's a quick game that makes me giggle at the same time, and I want to laugh before I go to bed. But yeah, that's been my whole week. So hopefully next week I'll get the balance a little better. My goal next week is to not work 12-hour days. My goal next week is to do normal 8s or 9s or something like that. Anyways, let's get into the news for the week. What do you say?
Yeah, sure, why not, man? We got a few things to talk about. We're going to go nice and easy this week.
Yeah.
Even our arguments are going to be more like we're just curious about how we feel about things.
Oh, we should probably, for those of you that are familiar with the show and listening to it, since it's only the 2 of us, we're going to not be giving away moderator coins because there is no moderator. It's Croog for stock, and then we'll just send the question out into the world, see what the people come back with, and that'll be the only kind of point we give away for this week.
Yep.
So a small little format change just because there are only 2 of us.
And to start things off.
Yeah.
We have Overwatch, since everyone's an Overwatch frenzy.
Yup.
Did you know, since we're already talking about horrible things with cats, the Pornhub, which is in a site that many people choose to go to that I've never heard of before in my life.
Shut up.
That does analytics on many popular things, such as video games and or pornography. Actually, this week is video games. They found a massive spike in searches on their site for Overwatch.
Oh, God.
Yeah, right? I just thought about it right now because it was like one of the gaming sites I go to talked about it, and I went, the fuck?
First of all,
seriously?
First of all, as a stats nerd, I fucking love that they do that. I love that they're like, oh, look, a major video game release. Let's see how many like people want to watch Tracer get fucked by
Right, they actually found out that when Fallout 4 came out, they found a dip in site activity. When Overwatch Beta came out, they found an increase in searching.
Because Fallout doesn't have... No, I'm not going to say that. People are going to think I'm weird if I say that.
Oh, synthetics. Synths. That's all I got to say. Battery-operated boyfriends. Man,
Anyways,
we are not a kid show. If you haven't realized that by now, we're more of a normal.
We are
show.
marked as explicit in iTunes for
Yeah.
a fucking reason.
But back to Overwatch.
Back to Overwatch.
It's been played by over 9.7 million people for the week or two that it was in open beta.
It was less than a week or two. It was maybe a week. I don't remember, to be completely honest, but it wasn't that long. 9.7 million people got in, which is more than Destiny, The Division, and Star Wars Battlefront not combined. I was afraid in my head.
It just beat all those numbers.
It just beat all of them individually. Yeah, I was afraid in my head that I was going to say combined, so I decided to explicitly say not combined.
And heck, even Battleborn came out this week, and the open beta for Overwatch still eclipsed that.
Yeah, it was bananas. Like, so many people. They played for 81 million hours total, all those 9.7 million people. They played 37 million matches, which is a fuck ton. I fucking love learning stuff like that. I don't know why. It's just super interesting to me.
It's actually really, really cool.
Yeah, and it's like a nice little quick thing to put at the top of a show to kind of get us in the mood for talking about news. Blizzard also, and this is actually a good piece of information for people, is releasing a third animated short on Monday the 16th.
Nice, and they've been releasing comics. They've been releasing comics as well.
Yeah, the comics are super fucking cool too. If you're into that sort of media.
Like there was one for McCree. There was one for, I believe, Reinhardt, which is Dragon Slayer. I think it's actually cinematic coming out.
Yep.
There was one recently that came out for open beta with Symmetra and Lucio, if you follow that, called A Better World, which I'm looking at it right now. And the fact that companies like Blizzard and Riot are having fun with digital comics make it really, really cool in a way to explore the lore without having to constantly have it in the game. So, if you're that kind of person, like, say, Indigo, that absolutely despises any kind of storyline in a game where he's not just shooty, bangy, killy, he doesn't have to ever look at this.
We're going to fuck with his reputation so much today.
Right?
So the new short that they're releasing on Monday is called Dragons. It's exploring the backstories of Hanzo and Genji, and like how they work. I don't know. I completely.
They're brothers.
Yeah, I know they're brothers and they belong to like the same group. But aside from those two things, I don't know very much about their lore. So I'm excited to see it. One, because I'm excited to learn about the two of them as characters, and two, because the quality of those videos are so fucking good. So
here's Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so look out for that on Monday, and then I was gonna move on to the next Blizzard thing.
Well, I was gonna say, so here's my thing with Blizzard. They are not. It's just kind of a knock on them, but also a praise as well. They're not great at crafting epic stories. They're what they do best in games. They also do for storytelling. They take tropes, they take characterizations and cliches, and then they twist them slightly, or they polish them to a super high degree.
Yeah.
Overwatch in and of itself was originally an offshoot of an MMO that also had roots in games like Team Fortress 2, and if some people also claim stuff like Quake and that kind of stuff, and MOBAs, but it's super polished. Blizzard's claim to fame is their high degree of polish to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like kind of
yeah.
a twist too. Like there's like, at least in my opinion, each of the twists or each of the stories that I've read about for all the Overwatch characters have like something that makes them unique. At least,
yeah.
In a little way or in a big way, I like them a lot.
It's no George R.R. Martin. It's no J.R.R. Tolkien. It's just, it takes what's done well and then gives it a very sweet sheen coat over it.
Yeah.
Which is an awesome thing. That's the reason why Overwatch is doing so well.
Right.
It's doing stuff that people have been doing like Paladins and Smite and TF2 and giving it this once over that just is just so good.
But speaking of Overwatch, Blizzard was talking about Overwatch on their forums recently when they made a post about banning people from Overwatch, which I don't know if everybody like assumed this was going to be the case or not, but the forum post kind of says it all. If a player is found to be cheating or using hacks, bots, third-party software that provides any sort of unfair advantage, that player will be permanently banned from the game, full stop. They even wrote the words full stop. Like, I ain't gonna...
Zero tolerance.
Yeah, I ain't gonna be handling that shit in my game, bro.
And there's actually supposedly there's actually a pro gamer already for the game that was caught using aimbots.
Really?
And like they caught it on a video. I forgot where it was. I forgot to bring it into this, but it was during Mercy's resurrection. So one of the characters, Mercy's a healer. Her ultimate ability, talk about MOBAs, that kind of thing, is that she can resurrect people within a certain time period.
Right.
Well, they found this guy in a video talking about how awesome he was and whatnot. And this video showed the moment they all resurrected to Mercy, his character snapped to the other characters, the enemies, instantly.
Like gameplay
so fast
footage?
Yeah, supposedly there's gameplay footage of it. And this is
Wow.
a guy who's playing professionally at this level for Overwatch, is like going to be on a team and whatnot. Got caught on a footage with an aimbot, which just instant, like boom,
Well,
zoomed in on the resurrected people and then instantly started killing them.
and there were a couple things they said about that too, about like snapping cameras and stuff like that. So they said that the spectator camera and the play of the game camera and the death recap camera are all not like 100% accurate. So if it's replaying something, if the game is replaying something and you're watching it replay and you feel like, oh, that movement's really snappy or something, keep in mind it could just be the replay camera not rendering things accurately, because it's not something they're putting a whole bunch of resources into. You know what I mean? Like the server side resources aren't going into providing you a replay that's 100% accurate. They're going into like playing the game, the stuff that's still currently happening. So they said they gave a bunch of warnings about like these things might kind of make it look like someone's cheating, but they probably won't be because it's just, you know, latency and stuff like that. And they also wanted to remind people that sometimes other gamers are just fucking better than you, and you should just calm the fuck down.
Yeah, there's a lot of gamers who've been playing this since the alphas, so they have, some of them naturally go through first-person shooters really well. Some of them playing forever, so they understand the character abilities. I believe Potato Monster already has a channel coming out for top 5 plays for Overwatch.
Oh yeah,
and
I've been watching some. Some of them are really fucking hilarious.
Did you see the Pharaoh one where she like dipped out and over and then ulted? So there's, I guess, there's a map with like a pit in the middle.
Yeah.
And the Pharaoh player jumped into the pit where it should kill everybody else and planned their jumps, so they jumped and like traversed a huge area of the map and just ulted on everybody and just destroyed everything. I was like, that is, I love it when people do that.
What's the name of the healer with rollerblades? Lucio. Okay, so there's a Lucio play that was great. These guys were on a bridge, and on one side of the bridge, there's a drop that kills you. And Lucio was coming from the opposite direction, and he's wall running up to this bridge, and then he jumps off the wall and uses his right click, which basically is a knockback, to knock back 5 people off of that bridge at the same fucking time with one click.
So good.
It was the best. And then like, so you can't hear the audio of the game or the audio of, if it was a streamer, you can't see, you know, what their face or what they're saying. But he, like, the Lucio player lands and just stops, and he's, I imagine going, oh my god, I just did.
I throw my hands up and go, that's it, I'm done, I'm out. Peace.
I just contributed to this game as much as everyone else is going to for the rest of the game.
It's another reason why Blizzard games do really well, is because it's the tool sets the players are given, and they use them in such a creative way that really makes the game shine, that gives the replayability for it. So yeah, I know we're really on Blizzard's jock for this one.
Right.
I still can't play it because I don't have $60 to throw away at a game right now, so I won't be playing it at least for a while. But I believe Indigo already has it, and you're going to play as well, Croog?
Yeah, I started playing with him during open beta. It was really fucking fun. And, you know, if we start playing a lot, like, we're just going to buy it for you because we want you to play with us. So, you know.
I mean, I'm not going to complain.
So, moving on to the next thing.
Yes, let's do Battlefield 1.
Yeah, Battlefield 1, we talked about last week. There's a lot of good, juicy details in that video if you want to go check it out. This week, we learned a couple new things from the EA CEO when he was doing, what is this type of report called? Some fancy fucking business shit. Let's see.
Shareholder meeting stuff?
It's an earnings call, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know if you guys know what that is. But basically, this is a transcript of a call between EA. That's the acronym that I'm looking for.
Yes.
So EA CEOs and VPs and all that crap, and then a bunch of stakeholders in the company. And the stakeholders are basically asking them questions like, hey, what do you think about this? Or blah, blah, blah. A lot of it is business, like mumbo jumbo, like, oh, you said this report was going to be this much money, but it's actually this much money. Do you think that's because of this? And it doesn't really mean anything to us.
Earnings calls are basically the company going to the shareholders and going, I swear to God, we're making you money. This is how we're doing it.
But yeah, amongst all that business jargon, they were talking about monetization for Battlefield 1, and we learned a couple of interesting things. So the document refers to macro and micro monetization opportunities for Battlefield, with macro monetization being maps and large-scale content, so obviously like expansions and DLC are going to be available for that game, and micro, which is smaller increments of gameplay, is exactly how it's worded in the document. It doesn't make any specific reference to like cosmetic crap like we're used to seeing in free-to-play games. It's not crap. I like cosmetic things in games, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that kind of idea.
Yeah, that kind of idea. So I don't know what smaller increments of gameplay means, but I'm kind of interested in seeing what it means. Do you have any ideas?
I mean, traditionally, microtransactions are stuff like packs or like some way of boosting your experience through kind of multiplayer levels or even specific characters. or maps. Macro transactions could be anything from the dreaded season pass that I personally dread, or big drops of content that come out post release. That's what I'm assuming it means.
The only reason I'm confused is because it says smaller increments of gameplay, not like smaller increments of game
that's kind of odd.
You know what I mean? Maybe he's just like not using the correct terminology, but he's the CEO of EA. You think he'd have the fucking terminology down?
Well, there is that, or it could simply be that this is how they categorize stuff like boosts. It's part of a micro. True. It's part of the gameplay.
Maybe
it could be just their jargon. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, if you know it more than we do, we're just kind of looking at it and deciphering it how we can.
Yeah.
Please, we'd love to know the actual clarification here.
Someday we'll be able to email him and be like, hey, what'd you mean about this?
Exactly. Man, I remember seeing Battlefield 1 and going, I love the fact that this is World War I territory, and it's actually really relevant to the times. And honestly, the reason I'm saying that is because if you haven't been following the internet or certain circles of the internet for a while, the internet has been doing a thing since about 2014, 2015 called the 100-Year Project. Different groups and circles of the internet are doing it for their own personal reasons. There's a subreddit called 100 Years Ago Today, where they give you the news and headlines of what happened today 100 years ago. So today in May, was it 15th of 1916 or 1906, this happened, or 1916. And there is a YouTube channel called The Great War, and it's fascinating. It's a week-by-week breakdown of what is happening, like parallel in 1914 through 1916 to today. So like this week in 1916, we have like the Eastern Front, the Western Front, the Ottoman Empire is happening. It's super awesome.
That's pretty cool. Has nothing to do with gaming, but that's super cool.
Oh, wait, I'm tying it in right now. They did a breakdown of the Battlefield 1 trailer, because Battlefield 1 is taking place during the First World War. That's called,
correct.
Their name is the Great War.
Right.
So what Indy Idell, I believe is how you pronounce his name, he's the host and also the main writer for the Great War. He decided, through much coaxing of the fans, to break down what you see in the trailer. So he's actually going like, yeah, there's some inaccuracies, probably related to multiplayer or to character customization, but like these are the models they use. Like this is like there's an armored model in the video that looks like a knight in shining armor, and he goes, I've never seen this armor in my life through any history textbooks. It's probably some customization for the game. Right. There's actually basis in it in the German lobster armor that's called like that. And he shows like a side by side and he breaks it down. If you like in-depth stuff like that, the Great War Battlefield analysis is super cool. He shows off that like the Great Barons biplanes that they use for that, why they wouldn't be in the Ottoman theater, why they would be, analysis on like even the tribe briefly that shows up, the woman with the face paint in the trailer. It's super detailed, and the channel itself is phenomenal. Please go watch it, and honestly, I'm pretty sure they'll do more Battlefield 1 stuff.
That's awesome.
In the future.
And speaking of Battlefield 1 taking place in World War I, Dahk and I wanted to discuss a question, which is, what's more interesting, games set in the future or games set in the past? So, Dahk... Oh, okay, I'll start off since you're kind of a bitch. I switched our opinions. I'm sorry. My actual answer is future. No, on the screen they're backwards. But so I like games that take place in the future because I'm a huge fucking nerd. I'm a technology nerd, and I love seeing, even though I know it's not necessarily real, I love seeing like the idea of what other people have as an idea for the future. Like in the future, this is what this is going to be. And I'm not just thinking about like games like Battlefield where it's just like, this is what guns are going to be. Like, that's not interesting to me at all. But games like Portal, like what that technology can do is super fucking cool. And like just how they imagine it working, that stuff's really fucking awesome. And games in the past can't get you stuff like that. I'm going to switch our answers while you tell people what your opinions are.
Whereas I actually really do enjoy games that delve into the past. And we've seen this before in the late 90s and the 90s and the early 2000s with the World War II stuff. And then we've seen the jump into like Battlefield, whatever it is, or the new Modern Warfare coming out. I really enjoy the fact that game companies use a historical past or even a fictional past to kind of tell their stories, as there's always a basis for something in there, especially realistic past locations, like say Battlefield 1. Seeing these things play out and being a part of stuff like the Lawrence of Arabia campaigns or those kind of major events is so visceral and brings a new depth and understanding and enjoyment to history, which you don't get from simply just reading books and watching a movie.
Right, but it's stuff that's already happened. It's like spoilers. Like if you're playing a game that takes place in World War I and you're like, well, I kind of know how World War I ended. I learned about it for an entire grade.
Is it spoilers if you don't remember or don't care? Like there's a lot of people, like there's stuff that happens in the Ottoman theater, specifically in the Eastern Front, that a lot of Americans don't really know because of the history textbooks. And learning about stuff, not just watching the video of Lawrence of Arabia. I'm using Battlefield 1 as a big emphasis for this, because this is the most recent example of past being used as setting. You get to watch this stuff again. You get to see the implications and the fallout of why we don't use chemical warfare anymore. It is horrendous, and games like that will show you. Whereas a lot of future games, at a certain point, you go into your wildest imaginations. And while it's super, super fun, and I do love it, it sometimes, if it's
So
not
are you telling me you
well,
love it because it sparks your imagination? Is that what you're saying?
No. What it does is it goes too far off the walls. It goes too far off the walls.
It's not too far off the walls. It's look, back in the day, like, there was no possible way that people could predict what today would look like. They had these like wonderful ideas that are like hover cars. Like, for example, like back in the day, everybody thought by now we'd have hover cars, and that's obviously not true. But the technology's there. Like, the technology to make hovering cars exists. It's just making it practical, making it affordable, making it safe. The technology to do the thing exists. And so the fact that like that vision that people had is now a real thing is super cool. And by looking at games that take us into the future, we can kind of see like what the general society expects from the future, and what we can kind of extrapolate from that is what the future's going to look like, because those expectations are what's going to guide the development of the future. And playing in that environment, like this fantasy place where anything is possible because it's really just what your vision of the future is way better than playing in a game where it's like, oh look, I have a fucking horse and I know exactly what this horse can do. It can run straight into a machine gun and die immediately, leaving me stranded on the ground, probably with a bullet wound, and then I will also die of some kind of disease that can't be cured because it's the past.
But here's the thing, there's a growing number of people who it's not them embracing the future too much, it's becoming ignorant of things that have already happened, and history repeats itself. And yes, as well as an entertainment platform, able to use the past as a setting for the games allows you.
Doc, this is really ironic.
And to create more questions.
When we sound like a robot, which is super ironic because we're talking about future versus past, and robots are obviously future technology.
Damn you, AT&T! Oh my god, I hate my internet connection.
That might clear up in a minute, but I'm gonna snip this opportunity because now I have a chance to tell you how stupid you are. The past is dumb. Everybody died for every possible reason. And if you're playing a game set in the past where you don't die immediately for any number of millions and millions of reasons, it's super unrealistic, which kind of defeats the purpose of placing it in the past.
Who went through past events that survived.
No,
John McCain lived through POW camps for years. I think he even tried to escape at one point and came back. He's still alive. Come on. And whether it's like a personal jetpack, we still can't get a jetpack to work underwater. How are you gonna make a jetpack that lets you run in like zero gravity with rocket boosters and missile mounted guided guns? It sounds super cool, but how ludicrous is that?
How ludicrous! That's super cool. That's the whole point.
Cool,
it just has to sound cool.
No, but going into the past, it actually allows you to relive what happened. Things like the Thin Red Line, things like fictionalized stuff like the Full Metal Jacket. Those kinds of settings offer still limitless amounts of past and history, and even the crazy stuff like the original Black Ops stuff was technology that they were doing in the Cold War that was highly experimental. They never bothered to use, that they use as a setting for Black Ops.
Here's the bottom line: is that
was the future then, and it didn't work, and they figured
you're giving all these examples of historical events that nobody's going to understand. Is the real thing that's going on. So I think we're good for now. We can't give our answers because obviously it's just the two of us. We don't have a moderator to give a point, but I'll be putting a link in chat. Yeah, right? Zeri says history, snore. I'll be putting a link in chat. You can vote for yourself who you think is
I hate you all.
Correct individual in this particular discussion. And you know, if you'd be so kind, why don't you retweet that tweet to your friends and get their opinions on it as well? That'd be super swell.
Yeah, because then they go, hey, where's this question from? You go, oh, it's from that video on YouTube.
Yeah, that's super wonderful VOD that's going to be up on YouTube on Tuesday, right? That's when we post our
I'm not the one that does it, so I can't say.
I do it, and I don't fucking remember when I do it. It's Tuesday. These videos go up on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I kind of like that question. We should do more questions like that.
It's actually really fun because both are very interesting, but it's
yeah. Full disclosure, like me as a person, I love games set in the past, but I just ignored that part of my body because we were having.
Well, it's the argument. We're talking about the argument. We're talking about personal opinions.
Exactly.
Do you know how many times I played devil's advocate on this show? Seriously.
Yeah, we do that all the time. When we pick questions, we're like, okay, who wants to play devil's advocate? Because all three of us will agree on something. Anyways, I put this piece of news in here because I personally find the insight into a developer's mind to be very, very interesting. And so I wanted to talk about this with you and see what you thought about it. So
Yeah,
a World of Warcraft designer in a forum post started just kind of almost out of the blue, not really, discussing how devs deal with feedback, and specifically devs of games of the scale of World of Warcraft, like an MMO with millions of subscribers. Like, there's no possible way you could ever listen to everyone. So how do people like that deal with feedback? It's a super long post, so I'm not going to read the whole thing because we'd literally be here for the last 30 minutes of the show reading that post. But I think the end of it really summed it up really well. He said, in closing, I know it can often seem like we don't listen. We are, just to many different voices. And it may be that a given change, feature, or reward is simply aimed at a different portion of the player base. Or we could be wrong and simply haven't realized it yet. So please keep talking. And the point he's trying to make is World of Warcraft, despite how counterintuitive this sounds, World of Warcraft is a very niche-driven game. Like, there's raiding, and there's, mythic dungeons or whatever those things are that I haven't seen yet. There's PvP,
Challenge
there's ranked
modes,
PvP.
pet PvP.
Yeah, and there's pet stuff. All of those things, and this is what the dev said. This isn't coming from Croog. This is coming from the dev. All of those things are played by a minority of the players. There isn't a single thing that's played by a majority of the player base in WoW, except for leveling. Like, leveling quest content is played by a majority of players, and that's it. So everyone's in a minority. And so when Blizzard releases something, like, for example, a pet, and they say, okay, you can get this pet by winning X number of matches in PvP, every other group is mad because every other group may want that thing, but they can't because they don't play that game mode. They don't want to get into it because they don't find it fun or whatever. And so it kind of feels like the backlash is like, oh, everybody hates the decision we just made. But in reality, the decision isn't meant for the people that are angry about it. Does that make sense? I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. And here's the thing. A lot of gamers, ourselves included, because we do make these comments, we love playing armchair CEO. We love saying, this is how we'll do it better.
If I ran this company, it would be so much better.
And you know what? Here's the thing. Often we're wrong.
Right.
Because we're so narrow in our own ideas and design. We want what makes us happy. They are dealing with millions and millions of players, and in other games, it may not be as big, but they're dealing with a bunch of players that all want to make their experience happy. And the vocal group is not the majority of the group. It's a vocal minority. So really, when people
another thing
complain,
he mentioned is, like, statistically, a majority of people aren't vocal. A majority of people are just in the fucking game playing the game. And,
in fact, you can actually gather
don't give a fuck about the forums.
you can gather their data just as well as the ones that are writing the posts on the forum by their activities in the game. True. They're actually speaking. They're just not being. They're not having a record of it somewhere.
Yeah.
They're doing it with their actions.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, guys. If you have a project, whether it's a multi-million-dollar game or a podcast or a play, you might understand this whole thing of, like, do I do what's best for me? Do I do what's best for them? Or do I do what's just best? And that's just the constant game of cat and mouse. Like, a lot of people are now talking about Legion facing a ton of issues. People are saying, oh, it's creating a bunch of new ones. People are complaining about this. People are loving this. It never ends. There's always something that's done wrong or done right by the fans.
Right.
And by the end of the day, this is a team that needs to look at themselves and go, what can we do? What do we find fascinating that we believe contributes to the game? Which is why they put in pet battles, which is why they put in mythic rating with Old War, the optional hardcore difficulty with Old War, which is why they even had all this stuff. And people complain about it constantly. It's why they took out 40-man rating. It's why they lessened the degree of crafting and then expanded the degree of crafting importance. It's a never-ending balance. And a lot of people that say, this game is going downhill because it won't do what I say, is such a weird, narrow view.
Yep.
Because the game is not made just for you. Indigo loves PvP more than the both of us. I love lore more than the both of us. Croog likes theory crafting more than the both of us. And those are all three things that we have a little bit of experience in, but we have more to say about things that intrigue us more than the others. And that doesn't mean that we should go tell a game company, you need to do more lore in your game and forget everything else about theory crafting. We don't care about numbers. We go, no, but the numbers are the best part about the game. We don't care about what happens when you use them. You just need to make the numbers good and it'll all work. oh, but the numbers are whacked out because when I want to use the numbers, nothing makes sense. I can't use the mechanics right. And why the hell do I have to actually look through this whole thing first or watch a video to go kill things? I want to go kill things. It's the never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
What I just did there.
Yeah.
And I'm often confused, and I mean, I understand it. I'm often confused when communities talk about stuff like that. It's understanding,
well, it's not confusing. He also this post wasn't like bad mouthing people saying,
no.
oh, you guys don't understand the blah blah blah. He was saying like, it's human nature for you to do this. It's human nature for you to react to something that you're receiving that you don't appreciate in a way that doesn't take into account the bigger picture. I'm just trying to explain the bigger picture to maybe help some of you understand that are interested in understanding, is kind of what the tone of the post was like. And at one point in the post, he said, it is like your nature to respond this way. I shouldn't expect you to respond any other way.
Yeah.
He's being very pragmatic about it.
He's not saying
he's not being
off.
like,
he's saying
I hate all of our users and they're all stupid, man. Like, it's not a whiny post. It's legitimately interesting information if you're into that sort of thing, and I'd highly recommend reading the whole thing if you're so inclined. Obviously,
he's not, like I said, he's not saying fuck off. He's saying, look, this is why we don't we don't have as many like discussions openly with you guys as other groups, but it doesn't mean we aren't not listening to you guys.
Obviously, link is in the show notes if you want to read it. The next one was kind of weird for me. So it was talking.
Yeah, this one's just odd.
Yeah. So there was a post on, what's the source for this? Polygon. There was a post on Polygon about how people in Vegas, like, why they aren't taking bets on esports yet. I thought it was really interesting. What?
They already are. It's just not fully commissioned. Like, I guarantee you, I've gone to Vegas recently, and there were bets on tournaments.
Why the big people in Vegas aren't taking bets on esports? And it's mostly because of, like, the fact that they don't understand it very well. So they don't know how to make it. They don't know how to monetize it best. They don't know what, like, betting scheme to use. They don't know the information about esports. They don't have, like, the experts to go consult and be like, hey, who's going to win this? What are the odds for XYZ? So they just kind of don't want to do it yet.
It's nice and frank. They're like, yeah, we just don't know. We're working on it, but we just, why you don't see, the Kentucky Derby odds right next to who's going to win the Invitational.
Yeah. Now that I'm saying this out loud, there isn't really a lot to talk about with this, but I would recommend going and reading it because it's really interesting. Sorry,
this is something
to fucking clog up the podcast with stuff that we can't.
No. Actually, this is interesting because it really is a thing I was thinking about when people started asking for more. We want more esports representation in mainstream culture.
Yeah.
Betting and price fixing. We talked about match fixing a few episodes ago.
Yeah, we did.
Betting is something that's just naturally going to happen as you evolve and try to make this seem more mainstream and main place in public conscious. And
I kind of hope it starts happening because that would be something that I could maybe get into. Like, I follow the Smite esports scene very closely when it is around, and I'd feel comfortable betting in that shit.
And people already do it online. It's just Vegas itself typically has a great reputation when it comes to, more secure styles of betting, where you don't feel like you're being taken for a ride, even for just placing a bet.
Right.
And Vegas, they would love to capitalize on esports popularity, guaranteed. But Vegas does not do unsure bets themselves.
Yeah, that's true. They have to be really fucking confident that they can come out on top before they do a thing. And they're not entirely sure that they can come out on top. And honestly, the thing I've noticed in esports is, like, usually in a game, one team dominates, like, for a very long time. That's what it feels like to me.
There's a lot of runs, a lot of good runs and streaks.
Yeah.
And Vegas also is slow to adopt things and very hesitant. Like you said before, Vegas is, we just don't know. They're very open about that. Whereas, like, I'm gonna not try to go too far off the tangent, but there's a kind of a thing with them in the MMA world right now, and UFC in particular. I'll make it short, where it's Vegas kind of shows how inept it is at understanding this. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
at least in esports case, they're actually admitting it, and they, I guess if I'm reading this right, they want to get more information on it. Whereas, like, this is because of things like the WNBA and the UFC, where they're like, we're gonna figure this out, right? And then everyone goes, you're really fucking this up here. We don't understand why your panelists and your betting groups and your governing bodies are making it a pain in the ass for what should have been a cut and dry operation.
I'm incredibly pleased that you didn't whine about MMA for like a million years. Thank you very much for that.
Stipe Miocic was a fucking boss last night.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, Verdun running into that fist when he's backpedaling. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Everybody knows you don't backpedal. He should unbind his S key.
Totally did.
No, he should unbind his S key.
So here, you know what? I'm gonna make it like that. So PvP battle, one-on-one dueling. Verdum comes in and then fucking just takes a chunk off Miocic's face, and Miocic counters and gets a nice little chunk off his, but starts backpedaling. He's like, Eski, run away. And Verdum's like, well, no, my screen's all shaky and toggly. I'm low health. I should go and like just finish him off right now. Tries to go, and Miocic's like, hey, my proc showed up. Hit the proc, planted his right foot. Boom, with the cross. Miocic goes down. His lights are out before he hit the mat. It was awesome.
That was good. He got a proc. That's good. That's how MMA works for those of you who are.
And now he's ranked.
Now he's ranked. That was his pro. Was that his promo match?
Verdum was the champ, and now Miocic is the champ.
Oh, that's good.
You should watch more MMA. It's pretty cool.
I might one day. Maybe when you and your friends are doing fight night one day, I'll come just to see what it's like to hang out with a bunch of sweaty men watching a bunch of other sweaty men beat the shit out of each other.
Kind of like what we did before with video games. It's not much different. It's the same sweaty nerds in the same room.
That's true. That's not wrong. That's absolutely not wrong.
I know my tangent's gone.
Yeah, Pokemon leaks.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Pokemon Sun and Moon is coming out on November 18th of 2016, but more and more information is starting to come out, and not through conventional means. Everything about Pokemon Sun and Moon has been released before an official Nintendo or Game Freak release.
It's a lot of fucking data mining and leaks and like.
It's kind of
insane.
bonkers. So, a case in point, the 3 new starters are Rowlet, which is a grass-flying owl. It's super cool looking. It's awesome. It's an owl. It's awesome. Litten, it's a fucking cat, and it's got fire. I hate cats. And Poplio, which is a circus seal. So, like, there's this whole thing where, like,
fucked up circus seal ever.
It's super cool. So, what they've done the last few games is instead of just creating, a few of the generations, they based their creatures off their main starters off of mythology, and then they went with the most recent Pokemon game. They went with the mythology of Arthurian legends. So you have the knight, the rogue, and the wizard. That was the 3 archetypes. But it looks like for the new game, which is taking place in Ololo, the Ololo location, I believe it's called, it looks very Samoan, Hawaiian, Pacific Island, Southeast Asia kind of feel to it. It's very much like that. It's a cool conglomeration of it. Everyone thought like Sun and Moon was going to be very European themed. But what they ended up doing was that, and the new trio, Rowlet, Litten, and Poplio, look like a circus trio, where Litten looks more like the lion, like the show lion, like the creature that the people kind of have tricks performed for, the acrobat. Poplio has a circus seal kind of look to it, and Rowlet looks more like a circus ringmaster or a circus ringmaster is more a good view of it.
It's 2 cats and a dog.
No, it's a seal, an owl, and a cat.
Yeah, the seals are cats of the ocean.
Oh, I thought they were dogs of the ocean.
Are they? It's 2 dogs and a cat then.
Something like that, I guess. It's like weird combinations. But they were leaked before then, and they're talking about like their typing got leaked. And typing is a big deal for Pokemon. Typing helps you metagame, and it helps you plan and whatnot. And people are like, oh, Litten's going to be fire and ground, and Poplio's going to be water and fighting. This is like a real cool thing, because then you talk about stat typing, and professional Pokemon players use this to their advantage. Like they start planning out metagaming in advance, the more information they have on it.
Yep.
But it's not just that. Like the games themselves got leaked, the names got leaked from patents. People are going through the code of the Japanese website to find stuff out that's been like hidden in there. It's kind of crazy, and it makes me wonder for another point of contention is data mining and the leak culture spoiling games, or are they more just harmless curiosity? And so since you did the first one, I figure I'm going to start this one off. And honestly, I kind of feel that with data mining, and this is for a man that loves data mining, I love any information I can get. I don't have to have it, but I really do enjoy it, is that it spoils games. And in this case, where I'm going to use Pokemon as an example, I loved learning Pokemon stuff as it came out. I loved learning about the trio when they said, here's the pomp and circumstance. I loved learning about the what's it called? Like the Pokemon trading systems and how you get all these things when they decide to give it to you. Yeah, it really limits it, and you can't plan ahead and do all this kind of crazy stuff, especially if you're in a competitive scene. Stuff like Overwatch and their data mining, stuff like data mining in World of Warcraft and WildStar and ESO, it can get kind of crazy. You end up finding out essentially major plot points. Like there's a big debacle over Garrosh being the end boss in Mists of Pandaria when that came out, and that was told almost like a year before the release, and people didn't even get that fight until a year and a half after release. But they knew about it at the beginning of the expansion development. It's kind of bonkers, and I feel like it takes away something from the enjoyment of the game.
I'm going to point out the fact that you said it takes away something from the game, but you didn't point out what. And then I'm going to go into my point, which is it's fucking harmless, dude. It's just information that we get. We're gonna get it either in 2 days or we're gonna get it now. Why does it matter if we get it now or in 2 days? It absolutely does not matter. It's exciting. It adds a layer of excitement for the community. Maybe not for the company. We're ignoring the company for now. Just for me, the community, because I get to feel like we're doing something super cool. Like when somebody, and this may not be true for leaks, but for like data mining and stuff like that, when somebody can go through, just like me, when somebody can go through the game files and find out all this super cool information, it makes me as a person feel really like in control. You know what I mean? The fact that I'm not a part of this company, he's not a part of this company, and yet we can like deduce all of this information, and then it turns out being correct. And that's also another thing it adds. You can like place bets on whether or not this piece of information is going to be correct or not. Like it adds that level of anticipation. Like not only are you awaiting the release of the game, but you're also waiting to see if you were right about what the game's going to be.
So what happens if it? Okay, but what happens if that information doesn't come true?
Slow your roll before we get into that. Let's check the question that we asked before and figure out who won. And I won. Oh my god, I won. Oh my god, I won. I get that point, baby. Give that to me. Anyways, as you were saying, Doc.
Okay, I'll be Jock Ray and still kick your ass. But here's the thing: what happens if that data mining ends up not becoming true or has to be changed? There's constantly information that video game companies are developing that they decide to scrap. Case in point, there's a bunch of champions in League of Legends that just never really came out. The Sand Mage, the Voodoo Doctor. Most recently, Shin, who was supposed to be their crazy dragon creature, their first ever dragon creature in the game. People were losing their shit over it. And they said, well, he was data mined first. And then he was released because he was data mined. And they're like, yeah, we're going to have this dragon who controls the elements. And we're trying to figure out how to make him work in the game when obviously he's a dimensional being. And they scrapped him. And people were up in arms. This is bullshit. Why don't you ever do this and that? You didn't follow through, right? You suckers. It's like, guys, you weren't supposed to know this beforehand, and you found out about it. It's not our fault. They even said, like, we throw around so many ideas that most of them, the grand majority of them, never make it to your eyes. And the ones that you do grab onto, you're not really supposed to know yet because we want to make it a big deal for you. We want you to be hyped for it. We want to give it the proper hype it deserves.
I'm just saying the people that you're referencing, the people that get mad because a piece of data mined information turns out to be inaccurate, are the same exact people that would literally get mad about any other thing ever made. Like,
and the same people that want to have these things spoiled.
Those are the people that no, those two groups are not the same. These are the same people that like will find any decision that any developer makes and then make that something to be mad about. Whether or not it's a good decision, that's not the point. The point is just to be mad.
But what about the Moose Mount then? The Moose Mount comes out for World of Warcraft. This is for, I believe, Legion or World of Draenor, and that was coming out. Moose Mount was freaking awesome. You know what? They weren't supposed to know that the Moose Mount was coming. You know why? Because he had no idea whether it was going to be a cash shop thing or a limited time mount or normal access mount. People were like, yeah, we're all getting Moose Mounts. Everyone's getting a Moose Mount. Yeah, fuck yeah, Moose Mounts. And Blizzard goes, it's actually a quest chain, or you can buy it from the store and whatnot. It's not available for everybody. It's people that don't buy the thing. They're like, what the fuck, Blizzard? We don't get a Moose Mount because I don't want to spend $25 on your mount. It's bullshit. Blizzard's like, hey, guys, you weren't supposed to know the Moose Mount was coming in the first place.
Again, all of those people are a vocal minority. They're the same vocal minority. Those same vocal
minority, when they realize they're not getting their precious toy, or when something happens that they want to be the first about, they go to the mainstream sites. The mainstream sites then put out the articles and talk about it to everyone else.
I think a majority of people understand that data mined information is just data mined information. It's
no, they don't. You know why? You know why they don't? It's because I've also done data mine stuff, and we have to tell people constantly this is subject to change.
Yeah, we do.
On /Yell, we even say that.
Yeah, we do that so that people understand the context.
I'm sorry, so that people understand. Why would they need to understand the context there, Croog?
Because
if it doesn't come true, or if it was different from what the end product is, they would say,
if you let me finish,
have bad trust with the company or something?
Let me finish. If we QueueTimes as a media outlet don't make it abundantly clear that something is data mined information, somebody can think if we posted data mined information and just said this is information and didn't say it was data mined, and then people read it and said, oh fuck yeah, and then it turns out to not be true, we look really fucking stupid. But if we post this is all data mined information subject to change, disclaimer, and then they say, oh hey, by the way, that didn't come true, we can go back and be like, hey, look at the post where it says this might not come true because it's data mined information. all subject to change. If you're mad about this, go fuck yourself. We just think it's interesting. Like, that is just to cover our ass. It has nothing to do with anything else.
You kind of played into my hand with that. You're like, oh, we have to actually label this, because if not, people can get mad at us for it. It's no different from the game company itself. It really isn't. Because then we get bad blood on top of the game company getting bad blood.
So what
no one comes out happy.
Let me refine your point for you, since apparently you can't do it. You are mad at people who misrepresent information. You're not mad about the kind of information that's being misrepresented.
No, I'm saying that when people are purposely going into something that they're not supposed to go into, it creates a heightened sense of expectation that is unwarranted, and it actually ruins the hype for the game already coming out.
How does it ruin the hype for the game already coming out? What the fuck?
Growing up in the early 90s, we were showed stuff from magazines, right? We were showed stuff in the game magazines about these games coming out.
Right.
We didn't know much about it because we were spoon-fed. Yes, the argument can be made that if you limit the amount of stuff coming out, that you get to curate the bad. You get to and all that kind of stuff. But also what it does is it shows you what the potential is of this game, and that people can really enjoy the curiosity and the mystery of unwrapping anything on Christmas morning. But now it's everyone's breaking apart every piece of code that they can, so they can be the first to get their clicks, to get their money, and everything else, and be damned to the consequences. And these guys are going, oh shit, we didn't want that out there. Thanks, guys. Fuck, because now we have to do something about it.
All right, let me give you a hypothetical situation. If somebody data mines Steam, because that's a thing you can do, somebody data mines Steam and finds out that a game is shipping with a free VR headset, do you not think that will create a fuck ton of hype for that game?
Yeah, and then they go, oh shit, our contract kind of fell through before this thing happened. If it goes through, I'm not saying if it goes through. That's the problem. Is that the tags will say it's coming with the headset, right? Oh, it's gotta come with the headset. It's the thing from Steam said so, and then they go, oh, guys, we actually can't.
I understand that if it doesn't happen, if something creates a massive hype like X game is shipping with a free headset, if that hype ends up being wrong, then that would create a massive backlash. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, will it create hype? The answer to that question is fucking yes, Doc. The data mining creates hype.
And then when it actually comes out, people go, yeah, no, we already knew it was coming. With that reaction on my face. It was like, when you see the reactions, like, oh yeah, Steam headset. And when the game comes out, they have all the marketing behind it. Like, yeah, we got the Steam headset coming out with this game. Everyone that buys it, that gets Steam headset gets this game. And they go, yeah, no, we don't give a fuck. We already found out about that 3 months ago. What new do you got for us?
Are you joking? No.
I'm not joking, because that's actually happened. That people literally go and say, yeah, we already knew about that, asshole. What's new for us? And the company goes, well, this was the cool new thing, guys. You even said it was a cool thing, and the gamers go, yeah, no, I want more than that now. Because they found it ahead of time. It's like opening your presents before Christmas. It ruins everything, because once you know you're getting that awesome, cool rocket kit, you get the rocket kit and you're like, yay, Mom, I got the rocket kit.
I think if something is truly something that people would get excited over, they will be excited for it when it arrives, because then they can try it, and when they hear about it, because then they can think about it. Like, it's not... If your feature is so shitty that, like, a month after it's leaked, nobody cares about it anymore, nobody wants to try it because they already know it exists, it probably wasn't going to do very well in the first place. Like, let's be completely honest. Anyways, we're getting close.
What? No, it's not completely honest.
That's me being completely honest.
That's
about what I believe.
The problem is it sets up such an expectation level for the consumer that it just becomes you can never fulfill it. You can never fill it, because now they know. It's like I said, it's just like spoiling the Christmas surprise. Once Christmas happens, you no longer have that sense of wonder. You already know what's happening, and then you don't even give a crap anymore.
That's
then
so
you become greedy, and you want more and more and more.
If I was a kid and I got and somebody told me, hey, for Christmas you're getting a BB gun, I'd have been so excited. I wasn't allowed to have BB guns when I was little. I would have been so excited. I would have been like, fuck yeah. And then you know what would happen on Christmas? I'd fucking tear through that wrapping. I'd take that BB gun out, and I'd just go shooting everything. I would, you know what would not happen?
And see, my parents don't actually watch these shows, so I can say with all honesty that I totally opened up my presents several times as a kid. When Christmas morning came around, I was like, yay, it's an Xbox. Are there any games with it? I know there aren't any games with it because you didn't fucking buy any games. So now I just got an Xbox that's sitting there in the corner.
Enough, right?
No! I want more now! See, if Christmas morning came and I got the Xbox, I'm like, fuck your Xbox! Did I get any games? I didn't get any games. It doesn't matter. I got a fucking Xbox. I can go to school, say I got an Xbox, I'm going to set you up for games, do all sorts of awesome stuff.
Anyways. I think we've made our points, Doc, and we have to move on, unfortunately. That
Put it on Twitter.
Yeah, that is on Twitter. I'm gonna post a link shortly so that y'all can vote, and we'll see who won. But until then, we can move on with our last two pieces of news.
Definitely. And they one is bad and then one is questioning. So get ready, guys. We're not
Okay.
ending on a super positive
Good. Yeah,
note.
we're ending on a downer. That's great. Good planning, guys.
Yeah, we did not streamline this that well.
Nope.
So first off, let's go with the bad. Let's get the bad taste out of our mouth right now
Okay.
before we go
All
into the curious and possibly hopeful. Disney Infinity is being canceled. For those of you that don't know what that is, there is a genre of video games that people call toys to life, or it's like physical merchandise or video games. The games in that are like the amiibos from Nintendo, the Skylanders series from I think it's Sony, and most recently Lego, like Lego Infinity or Lego Dimensions and Disney Infinity. Disney Infinity, it comes as a shock because one, it's Disney. They have three major core things: the Disney catalog, Star Wars, and Marvel. And from all people's guesses, they might have been the front runner in this whole subset of video games. Like these are not only just toys that you can buy or little maquettes, little things,
Yeah.
but they also had a gameplay element to them. And then they literally said, "Hey guys, we got 1 to 2 more big things, like one with Finding Dory and something else, and then we're out. We're done. We're out
Which
of
is so
video game
weird because
publishing
I thought
ourselves."
they were making fucking hand over fist with that shit. Like,
Oh yeah, they were. I've got motherfucking Chewbacca, motherfucker.
do you have?
I got-
Wow. he
So-
straight up
so-
holds up Chewbacca to the camera right now.
Yeah, I got Chewbacca. I mean, I got it for my nephew and my daughter for Christmas because they are constantly on my Xbox One when I'm not watching
Wait, do
Netflix.
you have the actual game system?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
We use them. And Disney Infinity had like the hook of where Skylanders, it was all about the toys themselves. Swap the toys out. You can mix and match them and they do cool things. And Lego Dimensions is all about, hey, they're legit Lego pieces. You just buy a digital version as well.
Yeah.
And where Amiibo is, we can use Nintendo pieces for all of the games. Disney Infinity was, hey man, do you want to see Rey? And do you want to see
He's holding up a Ray
Anger?
figure now.
Do you want to see Rey and Anger on the same toy box playset and play like in a Zootopia land and then build your own castle from like the ruins of Robin Hood's castle? Go do that. That's literally what you can do. You have it's Minecraft meets Disney.
Your kid's gonna be such a fucking huge nerd.
She kind of already is. But that's cool. I think she might rebel and be like super jockey.
All right,
when she's
well,
old. Every kid rebels somewhere.
knock
But
on
that
wood
was
that
the
doesn't
whole
happen.
she's a kid. I'll let her do what she wants. I'll let her grow up and help her nurture
No,
what she
force
wants.
her to
Why?
be the way you want her to be.
So, well, that's the shocker is that Disney's moving out, and not only are they moving out of the publishing game, they're closing down Avalanche, who are the developers of Disney Infinity. 300 jobs are gone. Any current contracts they have, they're keeping, and that's what they're probably going to end up doing. They're going to be outsourcing its materials to people like EA, to Activision, to anybody else. They just won't be doing it themselves anymore. And Disney themselves have said, yeah, no, Infinity and that kind of stuff was actually really an experiment, a really successful experiment to a degree, but not successful enough for which to keep it going. So they were pretty upfront about Infinity being a grand experiment. And while it was successful, and the Guardians of the Galaxy toys are awesome, and I need those right now, but I'm never going to get them. I'm never going to get them because I won't play the game that much. My kid does.
Sure.
I see why they closed down. It just really kind of sucks because that whole Minecraft toy box element was a really fun draw to the game. But yeah,
Rip.
they're gone. Yeah, by the end of 2016, no more Disney Infinity.
Rest in pepperonis.
Yep. And to cap off quarter up for this week, I wanted to talk
Jack
about
off quarter up this week. What did you want to do, Doc?
Gigantic. For those of you that don't know, Gigantic is an arena-based team shooter, third-person shooter for Xbox One and PC coming out. Originally, Microsoft was taking the reins and helping Motiga, the developers, publish the game on PC and Xbox One. The Perfect World Entertainment is now doing it. They are now publishing the game. It will still release for Xbox One and PC. You do not need to have mandatory Windows 10. And there's a bit of a controversy with this, mostly because of the publisher. Because of the Perfect World. Perfect World has gained a notoriety with gamers because they really do believe that the company is heavily focused on a pay-to-win aspect, and that because of that, any games that they do have are ruined because of that. Like they nickel and dime gamers from these games, and Gigantic is going into a heavily saturated arena already. When they were announced and when they were going through the alpha, and when people were trying to play the alpha and those that did get to play the alpha, there wasn't a whole lot of competition. Overwatch was not even being released yet. The alpha builds were not even there yet. Battleborn had nothing to really show for it. Paladins was still being in development
Right.
with no playable builds, and Gigantic's still being worked on. And
Yep.
yet Overwatch is coming out this year. Battleborn's already out. Paladins is in heavy development. They've kind of fallen behind,
A little bit.
and people are curious and afraid that Perfect World will put another nail in the coffin for the game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little sad that Gigantic. We're there's no NDA for Gigantic, right?
There is an NDA, so
But it's
for the
on footage.
Nope, it's for experiences. The reason why I say that is because there are people who have access to, or had access to, builds of Gigantic that we have knowledge of. And the reason why I'm pausing a lot is that because it's an NDA, I can't confirm or deny they ever even played it. Or even if they had access to it, there's just knowledge. There is knowledge of an alpha build that was playable that people played. That's the most I can really say. And even their experiences are hard to quite say live because the NDA on the alpha is still in effect.
So I think you're wrong. I think the NDA is gone, but just to be safe.
Motiga, for future references, that was Croog, not Dahk.
I haven't said anything yet. From what I saw of the gameplay that they posted, it looked very fun. It had a unique, very, very beautiful art style that I very much enjoyed. And I was really excited to see it release. I think it did enough to the MOBA, and I say did as though it's already gone, which it's not. I think it does enough to the MOBA genre that it deserves its place. I don't think that
From what we've all seen, yeah.
Yeah. They the mechanics are out there. The giant monsters that fight each other thing. I think that those kinds of mechanics are enough to differentiate itself so that it can find its place, find its niche in that genre. I don't think it's a waste of space. Which I could say that about other games that are in oversaturated genres, specifically MMOs. That having been said, like it does seem like there's something wrong with the way they're developing it. Like it does seem like they're not doing something right, and I don't know what that is. Or maybe they're in a horrible situation that I just don't understand.
I feel like there's like the well is running dry somewhere in development of Gigantic, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because when they showed off playable builds that they streamed from packs that I know I can comment on because I saw the streams,
Right.
and those obviously are under NDA.
Of course not.
It seems to move pretty smoothly. Like they actually explained stuff on the stream they can talk about that it seemed fine. It seemed pretty basic, but it seemed fine. Like the mechanic of the boss, you push waves and you push to a base that can fight back. That sounds really cool. It's like a Roshan and a dragon and a what's it called? The big Nasher, like any big boss in another MOBA that is your actual lifeline, like the Nexus in Heroes of the Storm. That's a fun idea, and the fact that it's alive and not just some random obelisk is pretty cool. And yeah, you're right. The art style is fucking beautiful. It just seemed like when they showed gameplay footage, it felt kind of basic. So but something's off after the last to the game, but one of the first to be announced.
I think it's possible for people to have a different opinion than yours based on the media that's out there. And
but the problem isn't the game; it's the publisher. Perfect World. Perfect World is that's the point of contention right now with people in Gigantic is that they're very, very nervous about Perfect World taking over. They did an AMA on Reddit, and they were like, "Hey guys, no, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool." But people were leaving before the acquisition, and like core community people and other people.
Yeah,
Motiga's gone through like 2 cut downs already.
The cut downs I don't think had to do well.
They weren't arbitrary positions.
Now I'm thinking about my old company when it went under, and basically what happened was the company that was buying us was like, "Yo, you need to trim down the number of people you guys have until you have this many people, and then we'll buy you." That's basically what happened. So maybe that's kind of like a similar situation, but that's
who knows?
super.
That's playing armchair
That's like
CEO. So
giga speculation. It's the most speculative thing I've ever said on any of our shows.
It just seems off. This is really what we're
Anyways,
trying to get at, right? It just seems off.
Yeah, it does seem off. I think the thing that we can both agree on for sure is that we wish them luck, right?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. From what I've seen of Gigantic and from the people that have done bad things with their NDA have said that I can neither confirm nor deny that I listen to, Gigantic is a game that would be worth watching.
You're so bad at that. That having been said,
hey,
that's the end
I'm legally protected.
You're not legally protected by any means. Also, I don't think people from Gigantic listen to this show. That having been said, we're done with our notes for the week. That's the news we have for your faces.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a quick look at the question that we don't have a result for, and I'm going to see the result. And the result is going to be, once the page loads on my computer, which uses a processor in order to take data in, and then I'm going to have to refresh this page because I don't have enough time to stall. I don't have enough words to... All right, this isn't loading for some reason. That's really awkward. Here we go. I won.
That's cool.
I think I had the better point there, though. I had like the crowd favorite. I think it would have been really hard.
I think a lot of our listeners and a lot of our contributors and a lot of our people that pay attention to us love learning all they can before.
Yes, and for what it's worth, it was really close. It was 43 to 57. So
yeah,
pretty close.
It's just such an odd thing. It's one of those like gray areas of learning and being in a entertainment field you really enjoy. Like, do you want to know before Christmas or do you want to wait for Christmas?
Yeah, they were actually both really close. So good job, good fight, Doc. Handshake. I'm sorry, Adrock. Shake your hand over the internet. That's the end of the show for the week, guys. Thank you very much for coming and checking us out. If you were listening to us as a podcast, please use whatever medium you have at your disposal to leave us a rating or leave us a review or a comment or whatever the fuck it's called on your mobile device or computer. I don't give a fuck. If you're watching a video, then please leave a comment on the video. Please thumbs up the video because it's on YouTube. And please subscribe to the channel. That would be super awesome as well. And if you're on QueueTimes and you're looking at my beautiful face in the post on QueueTimes, leave a fucking comment on the post in QueueTimes. It's not that fucking hard.
And as a heads up, if you're curious about the Atlas Reactor stuff I've been doing videos, there's a new freelancer breakdown coming out this week.
That's
at least
also true. Freelancer video on Monday. Who is it? Zuki. She's fucking OP as balls. Thank you very much for checking out the show. We will see you all in an hour for Slash Yell or next week for Quarter Up again. Whatever
Peace
your
out.
fancy is. See you next time. Fuck you, Indigo.
Later.